Welcome to Rhinos and Aliens. Welcome, Rhinos and Aliens, to After Dark 44. My name is Francis, or as Danielle likes to say, Nature Boy. Due to priorities, Danielle was not able to make it, so the show must go on. And I just want to say a couple things before we get into the show. I can't remember my week. I've been working so much that every day feels the same. With that being said, I can't emphasize this enough. Lana Del Rey's new album is fire. Specifically, the first 4 or 5 tracks, I can't get out of my head. So if you have not listened to it, listen to it. It is so calming and relaxing, and it has gotten me through at least this past week. So I just wanted to highlight that. Specifically, I wanted to highlight how soothing and pacifying it is. I put that down in my notes, and those are the 2 words that represent her newest album the best. Now, going into shout-outs, I want to pay respects not only to the Atlanta spa shooting where 8 individuals died. I want to pay respects to the grocery store shooting in Boulder, Colorado, where 10 individuals died, as well as the Uber driver. His name is Mohammed Anwar, where he was killed by 2 teenage girls while his Uber car vehicle was being stolen. I know there's a lot of death going around right now. I just want to highlight and pay respect to individuals who are losing their life to non-natural causes. Now, getting into the positive shout-outs, I want to shout out Noga Ezrez, who followed up her critically acclaimed debut album with a dope-ass sophomore album. If you're a fan of any type of electronic dance, I would even say alternative hip-hop, check out both of her albums. Her sophomore album is called Kids, so if you do want to go check it out, do that. And then, NF releases his first ever mixtape, Clouds. And if you did not know better, you would think it was a studio album. For most artists, it sounds like a studio album. And the tracks that I personally messed with the most was tracks 1, 2, 4, 6, and 8. So go check that out if you're an NF fan. Now we're moving into corrections / additions, because depending on when we record, stuff happens right then in the moment that we don't have exact facts on. So the first thing I wanted to highlight, last week we discussed Elgin Baylor. I just want to put in regard how great he was, because of all the Hall of Famers, I feel he might be the most underrated. And the reason why I say this, right? First and foremost, he's only one of 4 players to average 25 plus points and 10 plus rebounds per game for his entire career. One of 4. Then to go on that, he finished his career averaging 27 points per game for his entire 14-season career. Just to put that in perspective, only Michael and Wilt are above that. Michael and Wilt. So once again, rest in peace, and he is the embodiment of a legend. And you take away championships, he has a case for Mount Rushmore in the NBA circle. Now moving into the correction about Danielle. Danielle could not find the Instagram post highlighting all the players, all the superstars that were injured when we recorded last week, and he was not lying. There was a post, and wow. Run down the list. Last week when we were recording, Curry, LeBron, Greek Freak, Durant, Tatum, Irving, Embiid, AD, LaMelo, and Clay were all injured. All injured. And last but not least, for the corrections, I just wanted to add on to what we were discussing about the Buffalo Ferris wheel. The Ferris wheel will cost a brand new $1.1 million, and it's coming from Italy. Slowly but surely, they're putting money into the city. Hopefully that is both a commercial and artistic boon to downtown area. Now, as a segue moving into Buffalo news, I want to highlight more or additional information that has to do with a lot of stories from last week. So the first thing, John L. Maliski, who has supposedly been a state Supreme Court judge since 2006, suffered a serious leg injury with his train encounter. This was the judge I discussed getting hit by a train. Well, specifically, he didn't get hit by a train. He let a train hit him. He was laying down on the track. He was supposedly attempting suicide due to an investigation of his supposed connection to the Buffalo Mafia. Now, I'm not talking about the Bills Buffalo Mafia, the literal Buffalo Mafia. Secondly, when it comes to the Buffalo school speeding zones lawsuits, they want an injunction on the program itself, dismissal on all current fines, as well as reimbursements on all fines that were already paid. So this is getting interesting, and what makes it even more interesting is that the case has been built around stats that have proven it is more dangerous with these lower speeds, both for the students and especially for the drivers. While emphasizing that, technically speaking, there is illegal use of camera technology. And what I mean by that is that the cameras being used in these speeding zones have been actually outlawed by the government for privacy measures. To go off of that, Buffalo Common Councilman agrees with the lawsuit. He is the University District Council member Rashid N.C. Wyatt, who calls the program nothing short of a failure in a resolution. He cites reimbursements, alternative measures to get the same results, instead of putting more burdens on the people who are already struggling, as well as emphasizing the illegal camera technology. Unless these people are coming together and collaborating, it's a major coincidence that multiple groups and individuals are attacking this program for very similar, if not the exact same reasons. So stay alert to that. If you've heard anything about ACV Auctions, it's a Buffalo startup company created in 2014, and it's making headwinds. It's making headwinds because it had its IPO last week, and its stock actually went 28% higher than the initial IPO, the IPO price. The IPO raised $414 million for the company. The company is now officially valued at over $4 billion. Yes, a Buffalo company, $4 billion. Now, for movie theaters, because you know I'm a big movie fan, Regal theaters are officially opening up this Friday in 48 states. The sad part, New York State is not one of them. Even worse, Buffalo. Buffalo won't be able to open up until May 7th. So, awesome, Andrew Cuomo. You just keep doing the best job. You're the number one governor in the entire United States for a reason, right? Oh, and another thing, last but not least, Buffalo might get some snow this weekend, so yippee-ki-yay, right? Yes, we got quite a bit of politics. I'm going to try to stay as neutral as possible. DC is going for statehood, and apparently if you oppose it, you are racist, like everything else. Joe Biden finally had his press conference last week, and it was well over 50 days. It was close to 60 days. By the way, the previous record for the longest any president went without a press conference was 32 days. If you watch the press conference, you probably know why it took that long. On a good note, Oakland is giving $500 checks to low-income families. The catch, because there has to be a catch, right? If you're white, you do not qualify. If you're white, you do not qualify. The Biden administration continues to claim voter ID laws are racist, which there is a case to be made about that, because not everybody can get an ID. That's not the case I would go about for that. That's not the argument I would use to go about supporting that case. But anyways, but on a good news, Biden and his administration is fully supporting COVID passports, or another way to put it, vaccination IDs. Everybody should have a vaccination ID in all 50 states of America. But it's hard to get a regular ID to vote. Biden's administration officially unveiled the $2.25 trillion American Jobs Plan, which will be funded through tax increases. Who do you think is going to get the tax increases? The rich. Now, you might think this is a good thing. The only problem is that just through common sense of economics, when the rich get taxed more, they never allow their income to dwindle. So what do they do to offset the higher costs and taxes? They either let go of their workforce or they lower wages. In either case, the middle class, if not the middle and the lower class, are the ones who suffer. You think by doing the quote-unquote right thing is actually the complete opposite. So for the next 4 years, if you start seeing articles come out how the rich are making as much, if not more money, yet unemployment is skyrocketing, or if not, and the average wage for the middle and lower class decreases, thank your president and your administration. Politically, I want to end on this note. This is a quote from Biden's supposed Twitter page. We've made enormous progress when it comes to COVID-19, but new variants are spreading quickly. Now is not the time to let up. We have to hold the line while we get the country vaccinated. Wash your hands, stay socially distanced, wear a mask, get vaccinated when you can. The ignorance in this tweet, and I hope it opens your eyes. What's the point of getting vaccinated for a virus where the new strain is not part of the vaccination? Or another way to put it, you're getting vaccinated for a strain that no longer exists. Don't be a sucker. Don't be a fool. As I've always said, if it's a virus that does not transform, polio, smallpox, any of those type of viruses, of course get the vaccine. But anything that is COVID or common flu related, it literally makes no sense to get the vaccine unless you are in a group that is so guaranteed to die from it, then obviously get the vaccine. But the point is, the president in his own tweet admitted that the virus that is going on now is not the same virus we have a vaccine for. Now moving into all the information that I hold dear to my heart, the entertainment, the arts, right? So this is just me geeking out over Avatar. It is the global all-time leader for IMAX grosses at 257. It is the only film in history to just gross 250 million globally in IMAX formats, let alone 257, while simultaneously it is officially at $2.842 billion. And if you're wondering, that is roughly 50 million more than Avengers Endgame now. The Suicide Squad trailer was finally released. I felt like a kid just for the simple fact it was a live action version of a trailer that you would see for a Teen Titans TV show or a Justice League animated TV show. If you watch the trailer and put animation over it, you're like, yes, that's what I expect. For live action, DC or Marvel, especially DC, the film sincerely and authentically looks funny. The new films released last week. Universal opened Nobody at 6.7 million domestically. And this is showing a sign of some domestic box office coming back. Because a film like this normally max have a 20 million opening weekend. It might only be 14, 15. So the fact it's around 7 is a good sign. Because most places, there's only 25 capacity, and no theater has more than 50. So it's having opening weekend half of what it normally would. That's a positive. Now moving into Godzilla vs. Kong, Warner Brothers opened this film overseas to 124 million. 70 million of that came from China alone. This is the highest overseas opening weekend for any film that is not Chinese since the pandemic started. So Warner Brothers took so much shit for the same day theater and HBO Max release, and they can claim more than any studio they're saving theaters. That's going to go a long way long term. And to finish out when it comes to entertainment, after the blowout success of Godzilla vs. Kong, International's opening weekend, the director, Adam Wingard, becomes the first director to sign a deal with Warner Brothers. He is supposedly in talks to be directing a CGI animated hybrid Thundercats film. Who knows if the film's actually going to be made, let alone released? Now going into music, for the first time in 11 weeks, for the first time in basically 3 whole months, the number 1 position didn't belong to Morgan Wallen. He was only in 3rd this past week. Number 1 was Justin Bieber, where he became the first solo male and the 3rd artist to simultaneously have a number 1 debut Hot 100 song and number 1 debut Billboard 200 album. In that process, this was his 7th Hot 100 song, while simultaneously this is his 8th number 1 Billboard 200. And if you're wondering, he's only ever released 8 albums, so he is 8 for 8 when it comes to albums releasing and hitting number 1. Love him or hate him, he has a fan base and they are vocal about Justin Bieber. As a side note, Lana Del Rey's Country Club album actually debuted 2, but easily had the most literal album sold. So she has a fan base herself, and if it wasn't for Justin Bieber, she would have had a number 1. If we were only counting physical sales, then it's easily number 1. I have one video game fact. The 3DS officially turned 10 years old this past week. In typical fashion, if you didn't feel old as shit, that should make you feel old as shit if you're a video game fan, let alone a Nintendo fan. Because I'm thinking, what, max 7, maybe 8 years? No, it's been 10 years. And you think about it, it's been 10 years. Now we're moving out of the arts. I got some business for you. Supposedly, junior analysts at Goldman Sachs have been constantly putting in at least 80-hour work weeks since the pandemic started, and they've been averaging 95. Me and Danielle have been complaining about working 50 to 70-hour work weeks. It's that common saying that is always unstoppable. It's undefeated. Whenever you think you have it hard or you're going through a rough patch, there are thousands, and with our population now, millions of people who have it so much worse, going through so much more crap. Yes, you're complaining about 60, 70-hour work weeks. These analysts for Goldman Sachs, the juniors, whatever nickname you want to call them, ever since the pandemic started, they've been averaging 80-plus hour work weeks. And most of the time, it's been getting into the 90 hours. There was a group of a dozen people who came out saying that for a month stretch, they legit were either sleeping at the office or they had just enough time that when they got home, they ate for 30 minutes and went straight to sleep. Now moving into sports, I have an interesting soccer fact. The United States men's soccer team officially failed to qualify for the Olympics yet again. If you're wondering, this extends their stretch to 13 years. The last time they qualified was in 2008. So another way to put it, it's been 3 straight times they have not qualified for the Olympics. This is the 4th time in the last 5 stretches where they've been able to qualify, and they have not. Moving into the UFC, specifically UFC Event 260, this was a very interesting card. Sean O'Malley defeated Thomas A. with a KO punch during the 3rd. Vincent L. defeated Tyron Woodley with a choke submission in the 1st round. If you're wondering, yes, Tyron Woodley lost yet again. Just to put this in perspective, he started his mixed martial arts career 19-3. He is officially 19-7. He's lost 4 straight matches after being the champ, defending his belt. What was it, 4, if not 5 times? He's lost 4 straight. And every single match, it has not even been close. And technically speaking, every single match, it's gotten worse. A decision. Then it was another decision. Then he just straight up got TKO'd, and now he got submitted in the 1st round. I don't know what's going on. People are saying it's his age. I don't think it's his age. Something happened mentally where he is just not the same fighter he once was. He doesn't have that killer instinct. Just being a casual viewer, let alone an actual fighter and you're part of the game, it is obvious from any perspective he does not have that killer instinct anymore. Francis Ngannou and Stipe Miocic, they're going for the heavyweight championship, and I want Stipe to win, and he did not have a shot. He did not have a shot. Francis knocked him out and legitimately knocked him out with a punch in the second round, and you can officially say that Francis Ngannou is the baddest and the scariest fighter in the UFC, and it's not even close. But when Ngannou can freaking defend takedowns while simultaneously take you down, how do you defend him? Moving into the NBA, this is a loaded. Okay, so free agency and the buyout market happened. I just want to give a quick rundown of that. The Nuggets acquired JaVale McGee and Aaron Gordon. People are giving all praise to the Jazz, to the Clippers, even to the Suns. I think the most dangerous team to the Lakers is the Nuggets, and it's not even close. And think about it. Of all the teams unnamed, now the Nuggets are the only team that have a legitimate defender for LeBron James. The Bulls received Nikola Vucevic from Orlando, who, by the way, led his team in points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks. He's the only player in the NBA who was doing that. The Clippers traded Lou Williams for Rajon Rondo, which, technically speaking, that was the only thing they were missing. An actual point guard who has experience and leadership. Rajon does not take shit. The Heat got Victor Oladipo basically for nothing. I still don't know how they pulled that trade off. And when you think about it, besides picks, and it's not even the best set of picks, what did Houston get for James Harden? When you think about it, they basically got Dante Exum, Kelly Olynyk, and Avery Bradley. I really hope those draft picks years down the road pay off, because the combination of who the Rockets got for James Harden and what James Harden is doing for the Nets, this might be the most disastrous trade and the biggest steal in NBA history when you really come down and think about it. The Lakers signed Andre Drummond in the buyout market. This might be the biggest move in the entire trade deadline situation. The Nets signed LaMarcus Aldridge. People say Blake Griffin and LaMarcus are washed up. I really don't think so. I just think they stopped caring for the teams they were playing for. Now moving into key performances since the last time we recorded. Harden had a 44.8 assists, 14 rebound game versus the Pistons. Zion had back-to-back games. Listen to these stats. 39 points, 10 rebounds off of 16 of 19 versus the Nuggets. And then the very next game, he scored 38 off of 13 of 20 shooting versus the Mavericks. Can you imagine having a 38-point game shooting 65%, and that's technically an off game? Booker's game against the Hornets, he scored 35 in an OT win. He is slowly but surely becoming a clutch player and a player that the team can rely on. Westbrook had a 35-point, 21 assists, 14 rebound game against the Pacers. Listen to all these records he broke. It's the first 35-point, 20-plus rebound triple-double in NBA history. It is an NBA record-setting fourth 20-point, 20-rebound game for Russell Westbrook. No other player has more than 3. And at the same time, this was his 16th triple-double of the year. In just 38 games, he already owns the Wizards record for most triple-doubles for the franchise in their entire history. And in the process, he officially has his 5th season where he's recorded 15-plus triple-doubles. He is tied with Oscar Robertson for the most such seasons. And at this point, he's going to own every single triple-double record and type of triple-double record there is when everything's said and done. This game, he recorded a triple-double in the first 3 quarters. This is the 47th time in his career he's recorded a triple-double in the first 3 quarters. The next closest player is James Harden at 13. So not only is he getting triple-doubles, he's getting them in such a quick and efficient manner. It really does feel like a video game. He is averaging 14-plus assists over his last 9-game span. So the Wizards are really heating up, and they, depending who they match up with in the playoffs, they could pull off an upset in the first round. Harden most recently had a 38-point, 13 assists, 11 rebound game against the Wolves, and at this point, he's the MVP frontrunner. When you consider how his season started, consider the narrative around him, what he's been able to do both statistically and win-wise. And he's doing this basically the entire time without Durant, and he's been doing this lately without Irving. And then Zion Williams, most recent game, he had a 28-point and 8 rebound game against the Celtics. The reason why this is so important, this is his 25th straight game with 20 points. 25th straight game with 20 points. That is an NBA record for most consecutive games of such before turning 21, and he broke the record a while back with LeBron James and Luka. And last but not least for the NBA, we have Curry in his first game back from injury. He put up an easy breezy 32 points. If the rumors are true and he somehow decides to go to the Lakers, as long as he's healthy going into the playoffs, if you have a healthy Curry, LeBron, and AD, and then somehow they're able to keep Drummond, who is beating that team? Seriously, even the Nets, who is beating that team? And when it comes to sports, the last thing I want to mention is the NFL. It is official. The 2021 season and beyond will officially only have 3 preseason games, but will now have 17 regular season games. And do not be surprised whenever this contract expires that when the next contract is signed, they will without a doubt push for the 2 preseasons and the 18 regular season games. Because at the end of the day, all of this is about money. And if you read anything about the new contracts signed for streaming and cable and the broadcasting, you understand why they're going to more games. When you sign, what was it, $100 billion for 10 years, so they're averaging 10 billions just from TV rights. And I just want to end this episode on a random, thoughtful note. I came across this quote: "Success is the result of consistently executing on small actions." Yes, take advantage of the big actions, but you cannot take advantage of the big if you're not consistently taking advantage of the small. How do you make big decisions and situations benefit you? You're always prepared. How are you always prepared? You're taking care of the small shit. You're taking care of the minutiae, the things that most people overlook or don't care about. As Daniel likes to end every show with the 5-finger rhino thrust. Like the video or dislike the video. Subscribe to us if you fucked with what we're going for and representing Buffalo as well as just interesting information and facts. Hit that bell so you stay notified. Why not? Make sure you share to anybody and everybody who you think is interested or they're just willing to watch. And then last but not least, leave a comment about how something in your life can relate to this video, how you just found something interesting about this video. Hey, leave a comment about stuff you want to hear, news related or for our other TV shows or for our other shows, be it Roz, The Boner Show, Diving Deep, etc. LLPH, and Cadoodle.
Just a friendly reminder, guys. Hit the subscribe button in this corner. And then for the newest video. Then for the most recommended. And then for our famous dick pic.